Let us have today Dr. Amitabh Dwivedi. He is one of the fantastic minds in our university, and therefore I requested him to guide you for some writing style, how you are going to write abstract, and then how you can develop your abstract into the form of article. We have students from all 12 schools, barring 2 schools. We have altogether 14 schools, right? So we have very nice combination in this class, and everyone is so good that they participate, interact. So I'm glad to have you in this very interesting group, and please guide our students so that they can take up that advice and follow that advice in their research activities. So let us welcome Dr. Amitabh Dwivedi and hear him. And as I suggested, all of you, please keep on making proper notes. So you all have research diary, and all these things are going to be beneficial, not just for your research work, but also future works, right? So please keep a very close eye, and wherever you find any question, any clarification, you please raise your hand, and sir will allow you to ask your questions. So Dr. Dwivedi, you are most welcome. Please carry on.
Thank you, sir. So dear students, today I'll be dealing with how to write an abstract for academic publications, and not only academic publications, but you write abstract at various occasions. For example, when you are working on a research, then obviously you will write an abstract. Once you are going for publication, then it's quite natural that you will write an abstract. But you write abstract quite often, and abstract is not simply a summary of your work, but there are certain things that you need to take care of. And I have also prepared a slide for all of you, so that you will be benefited more. And I hope now you are able to see the slide.
Yes, it is visible.
Yes, okay. Why we are here? First of all, because you are researchers and I am also a researcher. So we are in a common field, like we are dealing with a common field. And as a good researcher, we follow some research methodology when we conduct a research. That is there. But first of all, we need to understand the nature of research, and we just need to analyze the word research as such. So in the word research, this re is your prefix and the meaning is again, and search is look into carefully. So anyone who is a researcher is simply looking into, again, carefully into some topic. And the topic of research can be any topic. If you are in the field of science, then it is related to that field. If you are in the field of arts, then it is related to that field. So any topic can be researched upon, but generally we select a topic that has some value associated with that, that can add some value to the society. Generally, that type of topic we select. So it's not like a research topic we select for the sake of research, but for the sake of adding some value to society, adding some value to the previous researchers as well. So that is the thing that we do. And when it comes to this methodology, then generally the meaning of methodology as again, logy is a suffix here, and the meaning of logy is a scientific study, and method deals with a process. So what we have in research methodology as such, so we carefully search, we carefully study, we carefully examine, and we conduct and we follow some set of procedure in order to get some desirable outcome. So that is basically a very broad overview that what is research methodology that we have. But and there are various definitions as well, like what is a research. And but my definition of research is that research is a disciplined activity If you are a disciplined researcher, then definitely your research is going to be a hit. And if you are not disciplined, then obviously there are lots of ifs and buts will occur. So what you do as a researcher, or what is desired from you, that you will do, you can do. So you increase the stock of knowledge that is already there, and we have seen in the word research that look into carefully again. So again, like you are adding something, and how you will do, through creative and systematic work. So both the things are important. You need to be creative. Why you need to be creative? You need to be creative because it should not be the case that you are simply producing the copy of a copy. So it is not the aim of a research that produce a copy of a copy, and that is of no use. No one is reading your research. Your research is simply in the library. No one is opening that research for further work. So that is not actually a research, a good research. So you need to be creative as well as systematic, because one thing follows other. So when we talk about these systems, and when we talk about the steps of research, then generally we pose a question, we collect data to answer that, and we present an answer to that question. So this is general overview of what is research, what is research methodology, what are the steps you need to take when you conduct a research. The first thing is you need to raise significant, important question. So if you learn how to raise a question, then half of your work is done. Because most of the time, a researcher fails because a researcher cannot pose intelligent question. Because stupid question anyone can raise. But the most difficult thing in this world is to raise an intelligent question. So that is the first thing as a researcher you need to think of, that I must pose intelligent question. So in order to raise an intelligent question, you need to be creative. That is the first requirement. So now we will come to this main topic, that is this abstract writing. And before we start, then this is a quiz that we will do together. So abstract, the word abstract comes from the, and there is a blank, which means a condensed form of a longer piece of writing. So there are three options. So one thing we are sure, that this word has been derived from Latin, but the correct answer is A, abstractum. So the word abstract comes from the abstractum. Fine. The abstract is the blank item that you write. Now we are not looking at where abstract occurs in a piece of writing. It occurs in the first place, but we are not dealing with the occurrence of an abstract, but we are dealing with the process. So when will you write an abstract? Yes, in the last. So once you have completed your research, and then you are providing a summary of that research, you are providing the essence of that particular research. So someone who will read your abstract will get to know about your research, about the essence of your research. So what is the answer? The abstract is the last item that you write. Mostly what we do, what we do in a sense, like generally, like there is a deadline, 2 days we need to submit a paper. So suddenly, like very quickly, we write an abstract, and we think like, okay, we have written an abstract, and later on we will develop a paper. So that is not actually an abstract. That is actually a proposal that you are writing, that based on that you will develop a paper further. So that misunderstanding should not be there. Abstract is the last item that you write. Which works as an advertisement of your research writing? Yes, abstract works as an advertisement of your research writing. Now you need to understand the nature of an advertisement. The nature of an advertisement is, advertisements are persuasive. They persuade you to do something. They persuade you to buy something. They are catchy, right? So, and they are crisp, short. So there is an advertisement, let's say of 30 seconds. It has some message. It is quite persuasive, and it is quite appealing as well. Fine, and it is catchy. So you when you watch advertisement, then you have a desire to buy that product. And once you have a desire to generate a desire in you, that is actually the purpose of advertisement. So similarly, abstract is like an advertisement. If abstract is not like an advertisement, then who is going to read your 20-page, 30-page paper? You need to understand that thing. So you need to write an abstract like an advertisement. It must be crisp, catchy, appealing, persuasive, so that the future readers, audience will read your paper. Because after all, what is the aim of writing research? What is the goal of conducting a research? That someone must read my work. It's not the case like you are doing research for the sake of research, that okay, after the research the prefix doctor will be there before my name. That is not actually the purpose of a research, and that is actually not the goal of a researcher. A good researcher wants that whatever I have written, it must be read by future audiences. Why? Because they will get benefited. And how they will get benefited? They will read it, they will cite you, so your citations will also increase day by day, years by year, decade by decade. So there is a possibility that your research will be cited after 50 years, and let's say after 50 years, like you will be cited by 5,000 people. So that is that type of thing you need to keep in mind, that the abstract is like an advertisement. So answer of this question, which works as an advertisement for your research, and the answer is B, abstract. The last question in this quiz, which one is not true for abstract writing? So we have three options. First option is written in plain English, often uses passive structure, must include referencing. Referencing is not the part of abstract. You need to understand that you must not include the author, must not include the method, you must not include the approach. Approach in a sense, you must not include the name and the approach that you are mentioning with the author. So broadly you can mention. So this referencing is not the part, like who is the writer, what is the book, that type of thing is not the part. The year of the publication, that is also not the part of an abstract. Also, that when you write an abstract, then you write in the active voice, and you only use passive when you simply downplay the author, then you only use passive voice. We will see the examples of like where we can use passive structure. Or you have conducted, let's say, some experiment, and you are writing about that experiment, then you can use passive structure. Otherwise it is advisable that you always use active structure, active voice. And yes, the answer is, it is written in plain English. So abstract is written in plain English. Now what do we mean by plain English? Now I am not saying plain English means uh, something that is a childish English. Now I'm not talking about that English. I'm talking about plain English, that your abstract is to be understood by all. So it is not the case, okay, I am a student of science, I am a student of commerce, so only someone who is from the science background, who is from the commerce background, who is from the management background can only understand my abstract. No, this thing should not be there. Even a common person who is educated can understand, can read, and make some sense from your abstract. This is about the abstract. Like, so it's not about the paper, but about the abstract. So how can you use plain English? When you minus jargon, when you minus technical terms, fine, technical register from it, then you can write it in plain English. So this is the quiz, and now we will start with this abstract. And the first thing, when we start,
would you like to take questions in between or in the last? Yes.
I have not thought of asking any questions from them.
No. Students are willing to ask questions. So would you like to have questions in between or in the last?
Yeah, in the last. So I'll give them 10 minutes time,
Okay.
so they can write in the chat box.
Okay.
So they can write in the chat box, or they can ask me. I will, so like 9:50, like I will continue till 9:50, and then I will take their questions. So what is an abstract? So the good thing about starting a topic is to start with a definition, that we must know how to define that particular thing, so that many things are clear and we are not going beyond the scope of that particular thing. So one standard definition says abstract, a concise description about the research. So it's like a one-liner definition, and it says many things. First thing is, it is concise, and it is a description. It is not a prescription. It is simply describing. So you are not prescribing anything, simply describing your research. Now, when you write an abstract, and so you write an abstract at different occasions. So it's not the case like you are only writing abstract when you are going to publish a research paper or you are going for an academic publication. It is not the case. So when can you write abstract, or what type of abstract generally do you have? So you have 200 words abstract generally you write for doctoral dissertation. So these limits are relative, fine. So there is a possibility that in certain university there is a procedure that you need to write 500 words abstract. So it's not the case like no, I have learned that we need to write only 200 words, so I will not go for 500. So these things are relative, these things are not absolute. Try to understand that thing. So 200 words abstract generally for doctoral dissertation, then 25 to 50 words abstract for short article. Now let's say there is a very popular journal in India, that is the EPW, Economic and Political Weekly. So generally when you read Economic and Political Weekly, and it is available free of cost because our university has a prescription of Economic and Political Weekly, and the impact factor of the journal is quite high, that is above 6 we have. So generally, when you read an article in Economic and Political Weekly, you find that abstract is generally of 25 to 50 words. So that type of journals we also have, and different journals, they have different requirement for an abstract. So when you go for a publication for a specific journal, then you must read the guidelines for the authors. So there it is clearly mentioned that how many words must be there, how many words will be there in the keywords, fine, what type of title that you need to write. Also things are there in the instruction. And between 100 to 500 words depending upon journal's requirements, so that I have already mentioned. So there are certain do's and don'ts, because abstract writing is a technical thing. Abstract writing is not like a creative writing that you do whatever you feel like. It's not the case. So we have already discussed that you must treat abstract as an advertisement of your research. And abstract should be about the research and not about the act of writing. So a concise description about the research is must, and not how you actually wrote the paper. So it's not like the process, not the process must not be emphasized. You will give like one sentence to that process thing, but not more than that. We will look at with an example, so don't worry about that, because there is a possibility that whatever I am saying now, you might be treating them a very abstract sort of thing, but we will have a practical example for that. So there are some do's and don'ts for abstract writing as well. And what are they? Sentences are unified, coherent, concise. So we make a coherence. That means like one sentence is dependent upon another sentence for meaning. That is the meaning of coherence that we have. And if more than one paragraph, then it must stand alone. So that means like generally an abstract is in one paragraph, but if there is a possibility in certain journal, they will ask you to write an abstract in 500 words. So 500 words is like one page of your Microsoft document. So obviously like you will make more than one paragraph, but those one paragraph must stand alone. So it's not like the dependency of sentences must be there for each other. There must be coherence at sentence level, but not at paragraph level. Use introduction, body and conclusion part of the paper, fine. So I'm not saying that you need to mention these as specific headings like introduction, body and conclusion. The sentences that you write, they must reflect that, okay, this sentence deals with introduction, this sentence deals with the body, this sentence deals with the conclusion, that we will see. Logical connections, transition between sentences. So you have like however, moreover, fine, in fact, but, and all these connectives are quite important that you need to use because sentences are unified and coherent. So these logical connections actually create a coherence of this entire one paragraph. Adds no new information. So if there is no, if your paper does not talk about a thing and you are mentioning that in the abstract, then again it will go wrong, because the editor, the journal editor, will read the abstract and try to find out whether all the things that are mentioned in the abstract are answered in the paper or not. So there must not be a mismatch between your paper and the abstract that you have. And as I said, and I discussed previously, abstract is understandable to a wide audience. That means abstract must be in plain English, because abstract must work like an advertisement. Abstract oftentimes uses passives to downplay the author, that we have also discussed, and we will see this with example as well. So ideally, in an abstract, you will find these 4 steps. Fine. So again, these 4 steps are there, 4 headings are there, but in certain journals, very few journals, they ask to write under these headings only your abstract. But most of the journals, they won't ask. But it doesn't mean like they are not asking to use these headings. That means like your sentences that you are using in the abstract, they are not indicating these headings. So they are reflecting these headings, but you are not actually explicitly writing these headings. So what are these 4 steps, like 4 type of sentences that you need to write in your abstract? uh, like you need to write motivation or problem statement. So there are thousands of things in this world, millions of things in this world. So why do you care about that particular thing? That you need to mention very specifically, that why that thing is important for you, what that piece of research is important for you. Then what practical, scientific, theoretical or artistic gap is your research filling? That is again very important. Research gap. So a research is not a copy of a copy. Fine, that you need to understand. Research is filling some research gap. So you need to try to understand what is a research gap. We will understand, and I will give you one demonstration also, that how you can write a sentence that will highlight a research gap. That I will also tell you. Then methods, procedure and approach. So what did you actually do to get your results? So you can mention that thing, one sentence. Then results, findings, product. Fine, so that thing you can also mention. Conclusion of your paper. One sentence of the abstract will be the conclusion. What is the conclusion of your research? And implication, if there is some implication. So what are the larger implications of your findings? So result is the result of your research, and conclusion is something else. So don't confuse with result and conclusion. They are not same thing, they are different thing. Results is like the finding of your research. Conclusion is simply the last part of your research, or the last part of your abstract. So what are the larger implication of your finding, especially for the problem gap identified in step 1? So these 4 things are there: motivation oblique problem statement, or method, procedure, approach, results oblique finding oblique method, product, and conclusion and implication. So at least these 4 must be answered in an ideal abstract. Now I will show you one example of an abstract, and we will try to find out whether these 4 or 5 headings are there or not. Now this abstract is from already published research. So some researcher has already published this abstract in some journal, and we will try to find out that what are the problems, in this abstract. So I read it for you. The aim of this paper is to make a comparison between 2 female figures from 2 different religions. Vashti is one of the unsung heroines in the book of Esther in the Hebrew Bible, while Sita in the book of Ramayana is a revered female figure among Hindus. The tales of these women seem to display similarity in the ideals they embody, and hence we endeavor to read them together. S1 is sentence 1, S2 is sentence 2, S3 is sentence 3. We wish to explore the extent to which Vashti and Sita's tale of female courage and daring could inspire women today who continue to suffocate under oppressive patriarchal context. Sentence 4. This is relevant to the context of Botswana, where despite global efforts to bend gender-based inequality, women continue to be victimized. Sentence 5. So like we have read an abstract and we find like it is very perfectly written, but there are so many problems that we have. Because the criterion that we are following is like there must be these 5 things that are to be answered, like motivation, gap in the previous research, problem statement, why do we care about this particular thing, like Vashti and Sita, why do we care about that? Why do we care about that the gender-based inequality? That thing must be there. Then approach, what approach we are using, results and findings, and conclusion and implication. So at surface level, this abstract looks very good, very neat, very nicely written, but there are so many problems in this abstract that we will discuss. But before that, I will like to show you what type of sentences that you can use highlighting the gap, that is the research gap. So this is again from the Twilight Saga. There is one paper, and there was a series of Twilight Saga of vampires, and one paper is written on that Twilight Saga, and this is the introductory paragraph that you have. So I will show you like how writers they generally write. This is not the part of an abstract, but it is the part of an introduction. But it has so many things that will, if you follow, then you can make your writing better. So what is this thing and how the writer is writing that you need to understand, because it deals with the research gap. Many researchers, when they are writing, they forget about the research gap. They do not write about research gap and the research is done. That should not be the case. So how it goes, like deliberately I have selected these five fonts in different color to highlight this thing. So how it goes, the Twilight Saga has captured the imagination of millions of people worldwide, transcending cultural, national, and linguistic barriers. Now, what type of sentence is this? This sentence is a very general statement we are making. We are not considering any fact. We are simply making a generalization. So this is like a generalization that we are making. The Twilight Saga has captured the imagination of millions of people worldwide, transcending cultural, national, and linguistic barriers. And how can we make such type of generalization? Because we notice things happening around us. So even if I ask, if you are not a specialist of COVID-19, and if I ask like, okay, say something on COVID-19, then you would also make a generalization that thousands and lakhs of people are dying. Fine, without checking any fact, without providing me any factual information. So the similar type of sentence writer is also starting with, Twilight Saga has captured the imagination of millions of people worldwide, because we have watched Twilight Saga in India. So and likewise we also know so many articles on newspapers magazine about Twilight Saga. So we know like Twilight Saga was a huge hit. So similarly, it transcending cultural, like vampires and also thing is not the part of Indian culture, but we appreciated this movie. I watched like all the four movies of Twilight Saga. Transcending national, like again this vampire thing is not the part of Indian national thing. And linguistic barriers, because this Twilight Saga is in, let's say, in English, but like my mother tongue is Hindi, your mother tongue is Dogri or Kashmiri, but we watched it quite happily. So this sentence is justified, but writer knows that okay, I am using this general statement and this is not justified simply to raise a general statement. So what writer is doing, writer is raising a question. But how can this extraordinary popularity be explained? This is a way of writing. This is not a part of an abstract. This is a part of an introduction. So we generally won't raise these type of questions in abstract. But I'm just showing you that how research gap is to be highlighted. That is the thing. So what writer is doing? Writer is deliberately using a very loose generalization, and the writer knows that okay, I'm using a loose generalization, and that's why writer is raising a question, posing a question. And what type of question is this? It's a rhetorical question. And what is the nature of a rhetorical question? The person who raises the question, the same person answers to that. So the writer is also using that tactics. But how this extraordinary popularity is to be explained? That means cross questioning oneself. I have said something and now I am cross questioning myself, and writer is providing the answer. Over the years, the question has been posed often, and although the series has been analyzed from various perspectives, there is still no clear answer. Now there is still no clear answer is the research gap here. Actually, there is still no clear answer. So what you are doing, you are mentioning previous researchers like Wilson, Click, Aubrey, fine, Moravitz, Jones, Housel, Wisniewski, and what you are saying, there is no still clear answer. That means like it is very much clear that your research is going to fill this gap. Over the years, the question has been posed often, and although the series has been analyzed from various perspectives, but there is still no clear answer. So that is one thing. Now again, writer is using a tactics of writing, a trap for the audience. An argument commonly put forth states that Twilight's success is the result of large marketing campaigns tailored to fit the sensibility of vulnerable populations such as women and teens. Now again, this is not actually a good argument. This is again a flawed argument, and again, writer is trapping the audience, because this is a flawed argument and writer knows it very well. Because what writer is saying, that the result of large marketing campaigns. So it is not the case like if there is a large marketing campaign and any movie will become hit. Like for example, the case of Radhe. Now Radhe is a big flop despite there is a large marketing campaign. But again, so this is like a flawed argument writer is putting, that is the result of large marketing campaign tailored to fit the sensibility of the vulnerable population. Again, like writer is using this word vulnerable population, that means like a women like movie or like teens like movie. So again, that is not the case. Yet, as Melissa A. Click and these say, this answer is biased and overly simplistic. What type of writing is this? This type of writing is actually the argumentative writing. So you make a generalization, very loose generalization, then you raise a question, then you talk about the research gap, then you put a loose argument, and then you put about that the loose argument is biased and over simplistic. So this is like the catchy thing. The catch thing is like once you read this thing, then you feel like, okay, I must read the entire paper. So this is from the introduction, but why I selected this particular paragraph is because I wanted to show you that how you can write about the research gap. So in order to write about the research gap, you must cite, you must quote the previous researches. And here the writer is doing the same thing. Writer is not only mentioning one researcher, but 5-6 researchers writer is mentioning, and also mentioning that there is no clear answer. Fine. So this type of thing is the part of the research gap that you have. Now coming back to our abstract that we have read, and we will try to find out what are the problems that we have. So first we'll try to look at the language issues. When you write an abstract, you need to use your words like currency. And what type of usage generally we have when we use currency? We spend very carefully. So similarly, you need to use your words like currency. You need to follow the principle of minimax. That means say minimum and mean maximum. That principle you need to follow, particularly when you are writing an abstract. And here that principle is violated. How? Let's see. The aim of this paper is to make a comparison. Now, instead of writing this, the aim of this paper is to make a comparison between two female figures from two different religions. We can simply write the paper compares two heroines from two religions. That's the end of the story. So we can save so many words. Like the second sentence, Vashti is one of the unsung heroines in the book of Esther in the Hebrew Bible, while Sita in the book of Ramayana is a revered female figure among Hindus. How can we write? Unlike Ramayana Sita, Vashti in the Hebrew Bible is unsung and not revered. So likewise, the sentence 3, it says the tales of these women seem to display similarity in the ideals they embody, and hence we endeavor to read them together. How we can make it better? However, we read them together and found many similarities. So we are using a direct approach. We are not using paraphrasing or this type of construction. So we are not beating about the bush. We are using a direct approach. So similarly, we wish to explore the extent to which. So again, like this entire sentence, the whatever I am just I have underlined, these are simply the wastage of words. We wish to explore the extent to which. So these type of words are not actually the part of an abstract. So how can we write? The present day women who are suffocating under patriarchy may find inspiration from the tales of courage and daring. And likewise, the final sentence, the study addresses gender-based inequality and victimization faced by Botswanian women. So Botswanian is our research site actually. So we are mentioning the research site at Botswana. Botswanian women, they are the research site that we have. So as you can see, like in the actual abstract, we have 120 words and lots of misuses of words that we have, wastage of words that we have. And when we revised that thing, when we checked the language issues, particularly when it comes to select the words quite carefully or making an abstract like an advertisement, then it is like 60. So again, just half. So we can just make it short, because what is the definition of an abstract that we have seen? Abstract is a concise description of your research. Concise description of your research. So what we are doing actually, making it half, making it short, making it concise. So that is, and to the point, in plain English. So this thing we have done. Now we will try to find out, because we have seen like there are certain headings, and whether these sentences they are corresponding to these headings or not. So like 5 sentences, and we have, let's say, 5 headings: motivation, problem statement, approach, results, and conclusion. So one thing we have done, we have simply reduced the words, we have revised, and we have made it short, made it bit better. Now what we will do, we will try to find out like whether these headings, these sentences are corresponding to these headings or not. Now when we look at the sentence 1, the aim of this paper is to make a comparison between 2 female figures from 2 different regions. Technically, the first sentence of an abstract must be your problem statement. The first sentence of an abstract must be the motivation. But what type of sentence is this? Sentence 1, the aim of this paper is to make a comparison. So how can making a comparison will be an aim of a paper? So aim is something higher. Aim is not simply to compare. You can compare two things, like you can compare this mouse with mobile, and you say like the aim of this paper is to compare this mouse with mobile. So do you think it is justified? No, it is not justified, because when you compare any two things, definitely you will find certain similarities, certain differences. So what is so great about it? It cannot be a problem statement, it cannot be a motivation. So, and what if it is not problem statement, if it is not motivation, then what type of sentence is sentence 1? The aim of this paper is to make a comparison between 2 female figures. You are talking about simply a comparative study. You are talking about an approach that you have used in this paper. So what you are violating, first thing, that you are not starting your abstract with the problem statement or motivation. You are directly starting your paper with an approach. That is the bad thing about this abstract. And the second thing is like your approach is becoming your aim. You're making a comparison is the aim of this paper. So what type of aim is this? What type of lower aim is this? You can also think. Now second, Vashti is one of the unsung heroines in the book of Esther in the Hebrew Bible, while Sita in the book of Ramayana is a revered female figure among Hindus. Now what type of sentence is this? And whether we require actually this type of sentence or not? It is simply, it is not a problem statement, it is not a motivation, it is also not an approach. What type of thing is this? Vashti is one of the unsung heroines in the, you are simply extending what you already said in the sentence 1. So you talked about 2 female figures, you talked about 2 different religions, and you are simply providing the description, like 2 female figure, one is Vashti, second is Sita. 2 religion, like one is Hebrew Bible, second is Hinduism, Ramayana. So again, like this type of thing is, so this sentence is neither a problem statement, neither motivation, nor approach, nor result, nor conclusion. This sentence is simply a waste. Let's come to the third sentence. The tales of these women seem to display similarity in the ideals they embody, and hence we endeavor to read them together. Now what is this? You have already stated that the aim of this paper is to make a comparison. Now again, what you are saying, we endeavor to read them together. If you read them 2 things together, then what is this? That is also a comparison. So what you are doing, you are beating about the bush. You are saying the same thing in different words as if you have nothing to say new. So the tales of these women to display similarity, it's quite clear that once you compare something, you will find something similar. If you compare something, you will find certain things different. So again, it is a repetition of a repetition. Again, it is a waste. And it also talks about the approach. So sentence 1 is also approach, sentence 3 is also approach, and sentence 2 is simply an extension of sentence 1. So again, you can see like how clumsy the writer is. We wish to explore to the extent to which Vashti and Sita's tale of female courage and daring could inspire women today who continue to suffocate under oppressive patriarchal context. So this can be a motivation. This can be actually a motivation. This type of sentence can be a motivation, and this type of sentence must be written in the sentence 1 or sentence 2. But here you can see like sentence 4, it comes like quite late. So again, like this is the problem, and this is relevant to the context of Botswana. So the research site we are mentioning, the research site is Botswana. where despite global efforts to bend gender-based inequality, women continue to be victimized. This is actually the problem statement. This is the problem statement, and you can see like this problem statement is actually is coming serial number 5. Fine, and it must be on serial number 1, sentence 1. So this problem we have seen, like at surface level, it looks like very clean, neat, very finely written, abstract. But as you can see, like so many problems that are there, and it's not the case like many people they do not know. Yes, many people they do not know these things, these technicalities when they write an abstract. But since I'm teaching you now, so now I think you are aware of like what type of problems generally we face, and we should follow. So first we need to follow the problem statement or motivation, then we need to follow approach, then result and conclusion. So that type of thing is to be there. Women continue to be victimized. This is the conclusion, like this is your result, like that is fine here. But again, like the certain things that is there in the sentence 5, that is problematic, like despite global efforts to bend gender-based inequality, this is actually the problem statement that is there. Fine. So you can see like there is no clear-cut problem statement. There is the mixing of problem statement and result that we have. So lots of problems, and previously we have seen that how words are misused in this. So I stop here. There are other things to discuss as well, and I will discuss in other class. But I have one more class, and I also like to address to your queries and questions. So that's why I'm stopping here. And if you have any question, then okay, I have already answered what do you mean by the downplaying of the author. Now we already understand that we must not use the pronoun I, or Dr. Dwivedi has done this. We need to downplay the author. So we use the pronoun we generally. Generally, we must not use the pronouns, but we use the researcher, like the third person. Instead of saying I or we need to use the researcher. The study tells us, that type of things we use. So that is the meaning of downplaying the author. You are not using I, you are not using your surname, like Dr. Dwivedi states this. When you are the researcher, when you are the writer, you can quote someone else and then you can mention their name. That is not downplaying the author. Means like you are the author, you are the researcher, and you are not promoting yourself. You are not using I or your name. That is actually mean by the downplaying the author. So if you have any question further, you can raise your question.
Yes, you can unmute your mic and then ask questions regarding the presentation. Wherever you have doubt, and if you want to make any observation, it need not be necessarily question. If you want to suggest something, okay, this could also be part of the abstract.
So there are certain things that I have not completed. Keywords I have not completed. How to write the title I have not completed because like I am running short of time. So and in the next class we can do that thing. And there is one important Fox gunning test that we will also conduct when we write an abstract in order to check the readability of that abstract. So those things we will discuss in the next class. So
Okay.
don't think this topic
Yes,
is complete. It is incomplete.
Yes. Karthik Kapoor ji.
Sir, very good morning to you. I'm Karthik. I just want to ask you a question. You initially said that a question has to be intelligent. Now, I totally don't. I totally don't support this idea because a question is its own perspective. A question can be a naive question. It can be an intelligent question. It's a perspective of an individual, how he takes it. Because there have been numerous instances in history. If you see the Newton, the apple was falling down. It was so.
Karthik, please try to understand that when I said like pose intelligent question, then it means like once you are conducting a research, only limited to that. Otherwise, you can raise any type of question once you are not conducting a research. But my point was that when you are conducting a research, then you must raise important questions, intelligent questions.
But who will tell us basically, sir, okay, these are the intelligent or these are naive or unimportant questions?
Basically, first is like whosoever is your supervisor, that person will inform you that, okay, these questions are good questions, these questions are not good questions. That is the first thing. Second thing is like you are raising a question that has already been answered in a previous research, then obviously that is not a good question for your research if you are conducting a new research. So that thing is also there. So the first thing is like you must consult your supervisor when you are designing your research questions. That is the first thing. And second thing is like you must also consider that whether these questions are already answered. If they are already answered, then you must not raise the same questions again, because the research will become a copy of a copy.
Point taken, sir. Thank you.
Any other question? You may like to add something. One question I can ask, Amitabh sir.
Yeah, please.
You have rightly suggested that the abstract should be written in the last, but whatever idea we are going to pursue in the research, let us say, must be kept in a, let us say, tentative way in the beginning. So when we start proposing anything, so whatever idea comes in our mind, we can have a tentative abstract at least in the beginning.
Yes, we
And
can
of
have a
course, the
tentative.
final thing can be in the last.
Yeah, but generally for that we use the term proposal, like a research proposal type of thing, that we keep in mind, and that we or tentative abstract, because generally we do not use this tentative abstract thing. We simply use like, okay, I am proposing this thing, and I am planning to do my research on this, or like my paper will be ready in next 6 months or 1 year, and this I am proposing. So that way, if we try to define that tentative abstract is like your research proposal that you are proposing, that you are going to do in near future, and then that way we can use that thing. But that abstract will be like a summary of your proposal, but not the a concise description of your research. The definition will vary in that matter.
Can I ask something of the Dogri apart from this topic?
हाँ दीपक जी
जी sir. Can I ask?
Yes, what?
Okay. Sir,
you want to ask in Dogri?
Yeah.
Okay, you can ask in Dogri, but then you have to tell us in Hindi or English.
No. I will ask in English only. No issue, sir.
No. You first ask in Dogri. We want to hear that.
Yes.
डोगरी सर ये है कि ओके हिंदी सर इन्नी देर होई सानू डोगरी च काम करदे होई फिर भी सारी डोगरी लैंग्वेज गी 8th शेड्यूल च भी इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन दे 8th शेड्यूल च भी लाया फिर ओदे बाद भी डोगरी साड़ी इन्नी रिस्पेक्ट नहीं मिली जिन्नी उसे मिलनी चाहिए थी इट मींस बीइंग ए स्टूडेंट ऑफ डोगरी आई वुड लाइक टू आस्क
दीपक समझ में आ गया तुम्हारी बात समझ में आ गई ठीक है
डोगरी लैंग्वेज गेट द recognition as it deserve in spite of given official status also and also included in the 8th schedule of the constitution also so क्योंकि मैं लिख भी रहा हूँ इसके ऊपर डोगरी के ऊपर लिखता भी हूँ आर्टिकल भी लिखता हूँ रिसेंटली कुछ ये बुक भी एक मैंने लिख रहा हूँ सो व्हाट इज योर थॉट अबाउट डू यू हैव एनी लिटरेचर सर्वे और क्योंकि आपके स्टूडेंट्स कुछ काम कर रहे हैं कुछ it would be helpful to me.
Yes, Deepak, there are people working on that as well, but you try to understand जो रेस्पेक्ट है वो कहीं बाहर से नहीं आएगी जो स्पीकर्स है ना उनको खुद अपना लैंग्वेज और कल्चर की रेस्पेक्ट करनी पड़ेगी फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल कोई अलग से कोई प्रधानमंत्री हम वो प्रेसिडेंट आके रेस्पेक्ट नहीं देने लग जाएगा अब पेरेंट्स क्या करते हैं कि भैया डोगरी मत बोलना तू हिंदी बोल या अंग्रेजी बोल ठीक है ना अब तुम्हें अपनी खुद की लैंग्वेज बोलने में तो गिल्ट फीलिंग आ रही है अपनी लैंग्वेज बोलने में तो तुम खुद छोटे हो जा रहे हो अपने कल्चरल प्रैक्टिसेस फॉलो करने में तो तुम्हें लज्जा आती है और फिर तुम कोशिश करो कि भैया इसको रेस्पेक्ट क्यों नहीं मिल रही है पहले खुद अपना रेस्पेक्ट करोगे अपने कल्चर का लैंग्वेज का तब तो कोई दूसरा करेगा कि दूसरा ही रेस्पेक्ट करता रहे और तुम तो भैया स्विच ओवर कर जाओ पेरेंट्स क्या करते हैं आजकल इंग्लिश में बोल भैया 3 साल का बच्चा है इंग्लिश में ही बात करनी है हमको आज से और बच्चा इंग्लिश में बोल रहा है तो डोगरी भी नहीं सीख रहा है वो क्या कहते हैं कश्मीरी भी नहीं बोल रहा है वो क्या बोल रहा है इंग्लिश बोल रहा है क्यों भाई इंग्लिश तो भाई क्योंकि हमको मिली है कॉलोनियल तो उसको तो हमको बोझा ढोना ही है सर पे फाइन सो दिस इज माय आंसर I might have sounded bit rude but this is the actual scenario.
Okay. This is as far I am concerned मेरे बच्चे भी इंग्लिश डोगरी में बात करते हैं. दिस इज एन लैंग्वेज. दिस इज एन लैंग्वेज.
Yes.
English is a language. Hindi is a language. This is an additional asset. So when they write their resume, they can add this Dogri also.
Yes, so definitely we must first of all respect our language. We must of all respect our culture. If we are not doing that, and then we expect from others that they will start giving respect, so respect will not come from outside. So that is the thing that we need to understand, like how many cultural practices, how many cultural things we are actually following in our day-to-day life. How many cultural Dogri practices we are not following. Like I still remember, like when I was a kid, I used to celebrate Diwali, Holi with such a great enthusiasm. But now, like, okay, Diwali is like, okay, lighting the 5-6 lamp and then do some puja and that is over. So that type of enthusiasm, celebration, when it is lacking for our own cultural practices, when for our languages, then definitely, like, we can't expect from others to respect and like to show some reverence for our language and culture. So this is my point, like we must respect our own language and culture first, and we need to preserve it, like how we are and what we are doing to preserve it. Like there is no, I think, as such a proper Dogri like newspaper that is there. And I think, like, if there is a newspaper, many people are subscribing that newspaper. How many people are buying the books that are written in Dogri? So when we are not doing that, then we can't expect like the other people will do and other people will respect. This is my point.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Trapti Pathak has written, good morning, sir. Do we have to write references for research proposal and introduction at last, referring that they are for introduction and research proposal?
So what I have understood from this question, that you want to know that the references. So references is like the process that you will do while you're writing your research. So it's not the case like you have looked at certain things. So you even cite it on the spot, like instantly, or like you make a note of that okay, like I have mentioned something from a website. So you must have a link secured in your some file that you can add it to the reference, so that you can do. So we have to write references for research proposals. Yes, definitely you need to write references for your research proposal if you want to show that your research proposal is nicely prepared, like you are well read, and then you have prepared the research proposal. Then definitely you must add many references. And introduction at the last of referring, yes, you need to like introduction for the research proposal. Yeah, introduction is the part of a research proposal, and whatever the references, they will come in the end. But you must cite properly, and you must use references. What kind of tense we should prefer? Yeah, generally present simple you prefer. Present simple tense, because you are writing a description, you are just reporting about your research, so you must use present simple tense generally.
Anything else? किसी का और कोई प्रश्न हो? रवि कुमार गोयल जी पूछ रहे हैं, I want to know what are the things to be kept in mind while writing review paper.
When you are writing a review paper, and what is my understanding here, that you have read a book and you are writing a review of a book, or you have read a paper and you are writing a review article of that particular paper. The first thing is, the first requirement is whether you have read the entire book word by word or not, whether you have read the entire paper word by word or not. Then you need to try to find out like what are the points, what are the arguments the writer is making, and whether those arguments, whether these points are nicely made or they are flawed. So you need to be a bit critical, and you must also be informed with the previous work or previous books on the same topic, dealing with the same subject, so that you can just refer to those books, those writers, those arguments also, once you are critically writing whether the answer is flawed or good.
Tariq Ahmad, Shakti Pandita is asking, can we allow to write our research paper in Hindi?
If your institution allows you, then you can write. If the medium of instruction in your institution is English, then you must write in English. If you are writing for a journal that is that publishes articles in Hindi, then definitely you can write a research paper in Hindi and go for it. There is no harm in that. But when it comes to when you are the part of an institution, you must follow the guidelines of the institution. So let's say at Shri Mata Vaishno Devi University, we have is in English, so you must write in English.
Tariq Mir is asking, how do we know that our abstract is now a good one?
Yeah,
That means all necessary information is there.
yeah, so that part I will discuss in next class, because I said like only the half of the thing I have discussed, that I will tell you that whether you can cross check whether your abstract is a good one or not, that I will discuss. We have a test that we can perform on an abstract, that is Fox Gunning readability text, that I will deal in some future class.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
तो अभी आपका तो दूसरे क्लास का टाइम हो गया है, तो मुझे लगता है आप क्वेश्चन
हाँ।
ले तो पाएंगे नहीं.
सही है.
So thank you, sir. Thank you, and we will look for another occasion sometime.
Definitely.
So
ठीक है
that we can learn. In fact, I could learn so many things.
ठीक है सर.
Precisely for the reason I don't have tendency to write much. That is the so I could learn so many things. So
Yes,
thank you.
ठीक है सर, मैं लीव करता हूँ फिर ये मीटिंग है ना.
हाँ, फिर मिलेंगे फिर. Thank you.
ओके सर, बाय.